I spent 9 years rebuilding my sister's life after her divorce. But then I opened her phone and found my wedding photos in her trash. I spent 9 years rebuilding my sister's life after her world collapsed. I gave her my home, my savings, even my friends. But let me start from the beginning. My name is Emily Hart, and if you'd asked anyone 10 years ago who I loved most in this world, they would have said my younger sister, Lily. Without hesitation. Our parents died when I was 24 and she was just 16. From that day, I wasn't just her sister anymore. I was her guardian, her mentor, her only family. I sacrificed grad school to take on a second job and pay for her education. While my friends were going to Europe and falling in love, I was standing in a high school gym cheering Lily on at her debate competitions and dance recitals. I never complained. Not once. Because I believed I was doing something that mattered. And for a while, it felt worth it. Lily blossomed. She went to college, graduated with honors, and got a job in publishing. Then she met Ethan, a charming, ambitious man who swept her off her feet. I remember the day she brought him home. She was glowing. And I was genuinely happy for her. I helped plan their engagement, their wedding, even hosted the bridal shower at my apartment. When she moved out, I gave her half my furniture so they wouldn't have to spend so much. For 2 years, it seemed like her life was perfect. Until it all came crashing down. One night, she showed up at my door, mascara streaked down her face, suitcase in hand, trembling as she whispered, "He cheated on me, I didn't ask questions. I just pulled her into my arms. Over the next few days, I canceled my work meetings, made her favorite meals, and stayed up all night watching reruns of our childhood movies with her. The next few months were brutal. She cried. She drank. She lashed out. She sank into depression. She quit her job. And once again, I cleaned up the mess. I let her move in with me. I paid her half of the rent. I covered her therapy bills. I even drove her to court for the divorce proceedings. While she was breaking down, I was holding her up. But something in me shifted during those years. I started postponing my own life. I stopped dating. I turned down a promotion because I couldn't travel and leave her alone. I let go of people who didn't understand what Lily needed. It wasn't just about being a good sister anymore. I was clinging to the identity of the savior, the protector, the fixer. People started praising me for it. "You're such a saint, Emily. She's lucky to have you." Not everyone would sacrifice so much. And the truth is, I started believing it too. Eventually, Lily started to heal. She took on freelance writing job. She began seeing a new therapist. Slowly, she smiled more. She laughed more. She went out with friends. And I felt proud. Like every sleepless night, every emotional breakdown I walked her through, it was all finally leading to something. Then came Daniel. Daniel had been in my orbit for years. We met through work, crossed paths at conferences. There was always a spark, but I never explored it because life just kept getting in the way. Until one night, at a book launch party, we reconnected. And this time, something clicked. He was kind, grounded. The type of man who asked questions and actually listened to the answers. We started dating quietly, cautiously. And for the first time in years, I allowed myself to dream about my own future. When I told Lily, she was polite, congratulatory. But there was something off in her smile. Something that didn't quite reach her eyes. I brushed it off. She'd been through a lot. Maybe seeing someone else in a relationship was just triggering. I didn't push. But Daniel and I grew stronger. 2 years in, he proposed on a quiet lake where my parents used to take us camping. It was perfect. I cried. He cried. And I said yes. Of course, I asked Lily to be my maid of honor. There was no one else I even considered. She accepted immediately. She even insisted on planning the bridal shower and helping with the invites. I thought it was her way of showing support. I let her in on every part of the planning, from cake tastings to dress fittings. Somewhere deep down, I was hoping this wedding would be the celebration we both needed. A new beginning, A joyful chapter after years of pain. But there were signs I ignored. She missed appointments and made strange excuses. She took over conversations with stories about her own divorce, even during my engagement dinner. When we shopped for my wedding dress, she kept suggesting ones that didn't suit me, tight, loud, dramatic. The opposite of what I loved. Still, I convinced myself she meant well. That this was just her way of coping. I gave her grace. I always did. As the wedding day approached, I was juggling work deadlines, last-minute planning chaos, and the overwhelming anxiety that comes with knowing you're about to change your life forever. Through it all, I leaned on Lily. But sometimes at night, I'd catch her staring at Daniel with an odd look. Not flirtatious, but intense. Like she was trying to solve a puzzle only she could see. I should have paid attention. I should have listened to that quiet voice in my chest that said, "Something's not right." But I silenced it. Because Lily was my sister, my only family, my constant. And I had given her too much of me to believe she could ever betray me. It started small. A missed call from the caterer that Lily was supposed to confirm. A florist saying no one showed up to pick the bouquet samples. The DJ emailing me directly to ask about changes to the playlist, changes I never made. When I asked Lily, she shrugged everything off. "Oh, sorry. I must have gotten the days mixed up. I thought you wanted the playlist more fun, more dance. Why?" The florist was just rude. I didn't like their vibe. She smiled every time. That same soft, apologetic smile that once meant trust to me. But now, it felt rehearsed. Like she was playing a part. My gut tightened, but I kept dismissing it. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe she just wasn't good at delegating. Maybe I was the problem, too controlling, too anxious. After all, wasn't she trying? Then came the rehearsal dinner. She showed up late in a dress louder than mine. Red silk, thigh slit, plunging neckline. All eyes turned to her when she walked in, not me. Even Daniel looked, though he quickly looked away when he saw me watching. During her toast, she started with a funny story from her childhood, but somehow it drifted. She talked about her heartbreak, how hard life had been, how some of us take longer to heal than others. She even laughed at one point and said, "Well, if anyone here deserves a wedding more than once, it's probably me." There was nervous laughter. My aunt choked on her wine. I wanted to vanish into the floor. But again, I stayed quiet, smiled through it, hugged her afterward and said, "That was surprising," trying to keep it light. She grinned. "You know me, gotta keep it real." But it wasn't real. It was calculated. And I didn't realize it until the morning of the wedding. It was a blur. Hair, makeup, photographers, everyone running around. I was trying to stay calm, focused, happy. Lily was in charge of keeping my phone and helping with my final dress change. I handed her my phone with a smile. "No distractions today. You're my filter." She winked. Got it. Hours passed. We were 5 minutes from walking down the aisle. I was in my gown, veil down, clutching my bouquet like a lifeline. Lily helped fluff my train. But she was quiet. Her energy was strange. Twitchy. Like she was holding something back. I turned to her. "You okay?" She blinked. "Of course. Why wouldn't I be?" I don't know why I said it. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the sudden silence in the room. But I whispered, "Are you happy for me?" Her eyes met mine. Too quickly, too coldly. She forced a smile. "Of course. Always." But the moment passed awkwardly. She left to get the officiant. I stood alone in the bridal room, chest pounding, unsure why a knot had suddenly formed in my stomach. Then I noticed she'd left my phone on the table. Unlocked. Something about that felt off. Lily never left my phone open. She was careful, meticulous, almost obsessive with privacy. But there it was, open to the camera roll. And right there, in the recently deleted folder, were my wedding photos. Photos from the engagement shoot, from the cake tasting, from the final dress fitting, even the candid one of me crying when I first said yes to Daniel. All trashed. All deleted by someone who had to go into my phone and press delete over and over again. I froze. My heart thudded against my ribs. I opened the trash folder, 47 photos. Every single one related to the wedding. I felt like I'd been slapped. And at the very bottom of the deleted pile, a screenshot. It was a photo I didn't recognize. A dark hotel room, Daniel sitting shirtless on a bed, head turned toward the camera like he didn't know the picture was being taken. Sent from her phone. Saved on mine. I couldn't breathe. I dug deeper. Opened my messages. In my own text thread with Lily, all was normal. But I checked the shared files, a folder labeled Shared Media. Buried among old memes and childhood photos was one strange video file I didn't remember sending. It was a screen recording of a chat, a private Instagram account, a conversation between Daniel and an account called Wicked Muse. No profile photo, but the messages. Daniel, you sure you want to go through with this? Wicked Muse. She's blind, Daniel. She's never going to know. Daniel, she's your sister. Wicked Muse. Exactly. She took everything from me. I'm just taking a little back. The video cut off there. But I didn't need more. The walls started closing in. The whispers in my head turned into screams. She had been deleting my memories. She had been sleeping with my fiancé. She had been planning this for months, maybe years. This wasn't jealousy. This was destruction. Deliberate, quiet, calculated. And I had let her in. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking. Tears threatened, but I wouldn't let them fall. Not in that room, not in that dress. Not for them. Lily walked back and like nothing happened. Ready? She asked. I turned slowly, my voice low, tight. I changed my mind. She blinked. What? I handed her the bouquet. You walk down the aisle. She laughed nervously. Funny. Come on, they're waiting. I walked past her. My heels echoed down the marble hallway. And in my head, something broke. Not my heart. Not yet. But something deeper. The belief that family protects you. The belief that love makes you safe. I walked down that aisle alone. And right before I reached the altar, I turned and walked out the side door. Gasps filled the church. Daniel's confused voice echoed behind me. Lily's shrill call followed. But I didn't stop. I walked straight to my car, stripped off the veil, and drove. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew what had just happened. And I knew what needed to come next. I didn't cry until 2 days later. Not when I walked out of my own wedding. Not when I deleted Daniel's number. Not when I checked into a hotel 2 cities away, still wearing my gown. Not when I scrubbed the makeup off my face and stared at the stranger in the mirror. But on the 3rd morning, I woke up in that cold hotel bed, saw the sunrise through the dusty window, and something inside me cracked wide open. I screamed. I screamed until my throat went raw. I screamed like I was being murdered, and maybe I was, in a way. Because the Emily who had believed in loyalty, in family, in forever. She had died the moment she saw those messages. And what was left? Someone quiet. Someone cold. Someone dangerous. For 3 days, I stayed in that room. I didn't answer calls. I didn't respond to emails. The wedding planner texted, asking if I was okay. The venue demanded final payments. Guests were confused. Daniel called. Lily texted. What happened? I'm worried. Please talk to me. Whatever this is. We can fix it. Fix it. Like she hadn't dismantled my life piece by piece and smiled while doing it. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop. And I started documenting everything. I downloaded the screen recording from my phone to my computer and saved it in 4 cloud drives. I printed copies of every message. I took screenshots of the deleted photos and created a timeline, from the day Daniel and I got engaged to the day I found that screenshot in Lily's trash. Next, I started searching for a Wicked Muse. The account was private, but it wasn't well hidden. A reverse image search of one of Lily's old profile photos led to an art blog she used during college, back when she called herself Muse. She hadn't even tried to mask the trail. I checked Daniel's social media. Every romantic caption about me suddenly read like a joke. In one post, just 3 months ago, he'd written, "Can't wait to marry my best friend." Now I wondered, who was he really talking about? I found one photo of him, dated 6 months before the wedding, standing in the background of a party Lily attended. It was subtle, but the way her body was angled toward him, the way his hand was on her back. I had missed it. I had missed everything. But grief wasn't the only thing brewing inside me. Something darker was rising. Not rage. Not revenge. Strategy. By day 4, I was calm. Too calm. I made a list of what mattered most to both of them. Lily cared about her reputation. She was working freelance again, trying to rebuild her career as a writer. She wanted to be seen as polished, intelligent, respectable. Every post on her LinkedIn was carefully crafted. Every caption calculated. Daniel? He was a rising executive at a tech firm. Clean-cut image. Groomed social media. Engaged to a successful editor, well, formerly engaged. Both of them had everything to lose. And I was done being the woman who lost. I returned to my apartment the next night. Lily wasn't there. The lock code still worked. She probably thought I was too ashamed to face her. Wrong. I walked inside and felt sick. Her perfume still lingered. Her favorite mug sat by the sink. One of her heels was kicked under my couch. For 9 years, I had turned my life into a sanctuary for her pain. And this is what she'd done with it. I didn't touch anything. I walked to the bedroom. My wedding dress was still laid out on the spare bed. She must have brought it back from the venue, or maybe Daniel did. I opened the closet. Half of it was her things. Not anymore. I started packing, methodically, coldly. I put her shoes into boxes. Her clothes. Her books. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I just cleared her from my space like someone cleaning up a crime scene. And then, I found her journal. Tucked behind a row of self-help books on the top shelf. Black leather cover. Pages dog-eared and scribbled. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. The entries were erratic, unhinged, full of bitterness, comparisons, twisted resentment. Always wins. Always gets everything. Even after I fell apart, people still looked at her like she was the saint. Like I was just a project. He didn't want her. He wanted real. He wanted someone who knew pain. I gave him that. When she asked me to be her maid of honor, I wanted to throw the ring at her face. She doesn't deserve love. Not like this. Not when she stole all of mine. Stole? I built her life from the rubble. I gave her my 20s. My money, my peace. And she thought I stole something from her? I copied everything. Scanned the pages. Took photos. And then, I carefully resealed the journal, as if I had never touched it. She would never know. Not yet. The next day, I sent her a message. I think we need space. I'm staying at a friend's. Please don't contact me for a while. She replied in minutes. I understand. Take all the time you need. I love you. Love. She didn't know the meaning of the word. Daniel tried harder. Please, let's talk. I deserve to know why you left. You owe me that much. No, Daniel. You owed me honesty. You owed me loyalty. And now, you owe me something else. I started planning the revenge slowly. Quietly. Meticulously. I knew what they cared about. And I knew exactly how to take it. But I wanted them to feel it first. Not just loss. Confusion. Not just guilt. Paranoia. So I did something simple. I mailed Lily a flash drive. No return address. No note. Just one file inside. The screen recording of her chat with Daniel. I sent the same thing to Daniel's office inbox. And then I waited. That night, my phone lit up over and over again. Lily. What is this? Where did this come from? Daniel. Did you send this? Who else knows? Lily again. Emily, please talk to me. I don't know how you got this. I didn't mean, I was drunk. It wasn't serious. Wasn't serious. They had set fire to my life and were now scrambling to smother the smoke. I turned off my phone. I slept like a stone. But that was just the beginning. They thought the worst part was getting caught. No. The worst part was what I was about to do next. They thought the worst was over. That the video was the storm. They had no idea it was only the warning shot. I let them sweat for a week. Let them spiral, flail in private, try to sweep it all under the rug. Lily messaged me every 2 days, each one more frantic than the last. I know you're hurt. I never meant for it to go that far. We were confused. You were so busy planning everything. It was just once. I swear. Lie after lie. What she didn't know was, I hadn't told anyone. Not yet. But I was about to. Step 1. Her reputation. I created a fake profile using one of Lily's old college photos. Not her current image, too risky. But enough for people who knew her history to recognize her style. I titled it At Truthening. I uploaded the screenshots of her journal entries, one by one, as anonymous confessions from a toxic sibling. I blurred names, not because I was protecting her, but because mystery draws attention. The captions were vague, poetic. A mix of rage and heartbreak. She raised me, but I hated her for it. He said she was perfect. I wanted to prove she wasn't. I deleted her memories before she could make them real. The account started gaining traction. Friends of ours from college followed it. Some even reposted the entries with shocked emojis. A few messaged the account privately, guessing, gossiping. By the end of the week, I anonymously shared a post linking the confessions to a woman who had recently wrecked her sister's engagement. Again, no names. But the pieces were forming. Lily had always loved being adored online. Now, every like was a dagger. Step 2. His career. Daniel worked at a mid-sized tech firm where reputation was currency. The kind of place where they give you corporate cards and tell you to keep it clean. So I waited until the quarterly board meeting. And then, I sent a carefully crafted email, anonymous, of course, to the company's HR and board members. I'm writing to inform you that one of your senior managers, Daniel Rhodes, was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with his fiancée's sister. I have evidence that he shared private communications during work hours, used company devices to send personal media, and potentially violated your internal ethics policies. Attached. The screenshot of him shirtless in the hotel room. A timestamped message from his work emailed to Lily. The screen recording showing him engaging with the private account. I didn't have to exaggerate. The truth was toxic enough. I didn't get a reply, of course. But I didn't need one. 2 days later, Daniel removed tech innovator at Variant Systems from his LinkedIn bio. 3 days after that, his profile disappeared completely. Step 3. Their silence. They started unraveling. Lily posted a vague Instagram story. Some people will twist anything to feel powerful. Truth always comes out. I laughed. Daniel texted me at 2 a.m. one night. You're destroying both of us. Are you proud of this? I didn't reply. But yes, I was. But I wasn't done. There was one final blow I had been saving. The wedding. The one they helped ruin. See, we never officially canceled it. Just walked away. The vendors had been understanding, but the photographer, she had already uploaded a private album of the photos to her website. The password had been sent to me days before the wedding. I had never opened it, too hurt. But now, I logged in. And there they were. The staged pre-ceremony shots. The candid laughing moments with Daniel. Me and Lily in robes, sipping champagne. Lily whispering something to Daniel and him smiling just slightly. I downloaded all of them. Then I created a new blog. Simple. Minimalist. No name. No bio. Just one entry. How I planned a wedding for two people who deserved each other. In the post, I laid it all out: the betrayal, the journal, the screenshots. I embedded the photos. I didn't need to name them. Anyone who knew us would know exactly who I was talking about. I sent the link anonymously to mutual friends, to Daniel's ex-colleagues, to Lily's former writing group, to a small but very curious local gossip blog that loved messy love stories. By the end of the week, the post had 12,000 views. And that's when Lily finally snapped. She showed up at my door. Uninvited. Unannounced. Unraveled. I opened the door just enough to see her face, pale, frantic, smeared mascara. "Please," she whispered. "Can we just talk?" I stared at her. "You already said everything you needed to," I said quietly. "In your journal. In that hotel room. In the way you deleted my photos like I was nothing." Her lip trembled. "I wasn't trying to hurt you, I lost myself. Everything fell apart after Ethan, and you were always perfect and—" "Stop." I didn't raise my voice. That would have given her power. "You didn't fall apart, Lily. You chose to set fire to what I built. And now you're standing in the ashes, pretending it was an accident." Tears filled her eyes. "So what? You want me to suffer? To lose everything?" I tilted my head. "Lily," I said, voice cool, "I didn't want you to suffer. I wanted you to understand. But now? Yes. I want you to feel what I felt, alone, broken, replaced." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. "I loved you," she said, voice cracking. "And I protected you," I said, "longer than you deserved." I closed the door in her face. Not with anger. With peace. Daniel tried one last time. Sent a letter. Handwritten. Pathetic. I didn't mean for it to happen. It started when you got so focused on the wedding. I felt distant. Lily was there. "You felt distant?" "I was planning our future." He ended with, "If you ever forgive me, I'll always be here." I burned the letter. And with it, any remnants of the version of me who would have kept it. By the end of the month, Lily deleted all her socials. Daniel was reportedly looking for opportunities out of state. Our mutual friends either fell silent or reached out to tell me they stood with me. But I didn't care about the sides anymore. I had finally taken mine. I thought it was over. The revenge was complete. The damage had been done. Lily had lost her reputation. Daniel had lost his job. And I had walked away with my dignity, my spine, and the sharp, cold satisfaction of justice served. But real betrayal? It doesn't die easy. It roots itself deep until it poisons everything. And one afternoon, I found the final piece. I was cleaning out the last of Lily's things. It had been weeks. I'd boxed most of it, donated some, tossed the rest. But in the far back of the hall closet, behind an old suitcase, I found a plastic bin I hadn't noticed before. Inside, a few of her childhood sketchbooks, a broken necklace, a cheap photo album. I almost threw it out until I noticed the spine. It wasn't hers. It was mine. Or rather, my family's. I opened it. The first page, a photo of me and Lily when we were kids. Christmas morning. I was 8. She was barely a toddler. Mom's handwriting on the back. The girls, before they knew how big the world would be. I smiled, despite myself. The next page. Our parents on vacation. Then school awards. Dance recitals. Birthdays. And then, halfway through, a folded letter. Old, yellowed, creased. Addressed to Lily. From my mother. The date on the corner? 2 months before the car accident that killed them both. I shouldn't have read it. But I did. And that letter changed everything. Lily, if you're reading this, it means we didn't get to explain it to you in person. And I'm sorry for that. We were waiting until you were older, maybe 16. But things are changing. And I feel you deserve to know the truth. I paused. My chest tightened. Emily is your sister. but not by blood. We adopted her when she was 5. You were just a baby. The words blurred. No. No. That couldn't be right. We never told her either. We wanted her to feel like she truly belonged. Because she did. She does. But you're our only biological child. I stopped breathing. We were afraid you'd grow up comparing yourselves. That you'd feel like she had taken something from you. But the truth is, Emily gave you everything. Even when she didn't know it. I dropped the letter. Adopted? All my life, I had believed we were full sisters. All those sacrifices. The pain. The loyalty. The protection. And I wasn't even really her sister? No, I couldn't believe it. But it explained everything. The looks Lily gave me. The resentment. The she took everything from me rants in her journal. She had known. All these years, she had known. And I hadn't. I dug deeper. I called the lawyer who had handled my parents' estate. I lied and said I needed documentation for a passport. He emailed me the adoption confirmation the next morning. There it was. Black and white. Emily Hart. Adopted. They had taken me in after a fire. My biological parents had died. I was 5. I had no memory of it. Trauma erases like a scalpel, clean and cruel. I sat there for hours, staring at nothing. So this was why. This was why Lily's betrayal had never made sense until now. She had grown up believing I was the imposter. The outsider. The charity case who got too much. And instead of seeing me as her protector, she saw me as a thief. It didn't excuse what she did, but it explained it. The rage I had once felt, it started to shift. It didn't soften. It focused. Because now I knew. She didn't just destroy my wedding. She had been waiting her whole life to take me down. I called her. She answered immediately. Emily? I found the letter, I said. Silence. I waited. She sighed. I figured you might. You knew? Another pause. Yes, she said finally. I've always known. How long? I found it when I was 13, she said. After the accident. It was in Mom's drawer. I didn't tell you because, she stopped. Because I didn't want to. That's it, I whispered. You just decided to hate me? I didn't hate you, she said, and her voice cracked. I wanted to be you. Everyone always said you were amazing, selfless, brave. Even after you weren't even really one of us. I inhaled sharply. I was one of you, I said. I held you at night when you cried. I gave you everything. You were my family, Lily. And I never got to choose that, she snapped. There it was. The truth. Buried under years of fake smiles and sisterhood. She never chose me. She endured me. And then, she punished me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just said, you could have talked to me. She went quiet again. I didn't want to talk. I wanted you gone. I nodded to myself. There it was. Finally spoken aloud. You got what you wanted, I said. I'm gone. But you'll never be free of what you did. I hung up. Blocked her. Not out of anger, but finality. Later that week, I booked a trip. 2 weeks, off-grid, solo. I told no one. No social media. No farewells. Just me. And on the plane, I wrote one final letter. To myself. Dear Emily, you are not who you thought you were. And that's okay. Blood doesn't define love. And betrayal doesn't destroy worth. You gave your whole heart to someone who never saw it. And now, you take it back. No more saving anyone. This time, you save yourself. I watched the sun rise from 30,000 feet. And I smiled. Not because it was over, but because for the first time, I finally knew who I was.